Alright, hello Minecrafters and Fitechers. Today we're going to discuss um, the world of high voltage and stainless steel. I'm going to kind of combine these two together because they go hand in hand. The high voltage machines, 512 EU per T machines, um, are made out of stainless steel. And so I'm going to discuss a little bit about how to get the hard to get stuff for that and how to make things a little easier. And that'll mean discussing a couple machines real quick too. So let's get right to the point here. Stainless steel, pretty simple. You make it out of, you need 6 iron. You're going to need 6 iron, 1 chrome, 1 nickel, and 1 manganese. You'll notice my manganese is in fact missing because I've used it all up. But that's pretty easy. You can find it in the recipe book. Most of these are pretty easy to get. Iron, you should have no trouble finding. Obviously, early on when you're first starting the game, you're going to scrounge around until you finally find your first iron mine. But once you find iron, the hits keep on coming. Iron is everywhere. Nickel might be a little bit of a problem until you find a nickel mine, but they don't seem to be too uncommon. They're not near as common, obviously, as iron and copper, but once you find one, you're pretty much set. You also find a lot underground that you can scrape off the walls at the lower levels. Usually between 20 and 40 or 20 and 50, somewhere down there. So it's usually by the time you don't use a whole lot of it. So usually by the time you get to the, high voltage age, if you're like me and you pick up every little thing you find that you have room for in your inventory, you're gonna have a ton of nickel. Chrome is the real pain. About the only really good way to get them is from rubies. And so you will definitely want to use this guy right here, the sifting machine, where you will put your rubies in. Well, basically what you're going to do is you're going to need the sifting machine, and you're going to need the ore washing plant. Because what you have to do is when you get the rubies, you'll need to find redstone ore. Once you find redstone, you found ruby, because they go together. And so you will go down and dig up your ruby, but hold on to it. Try not to do anything with your rubies to make rubies until you have both the ore washing plant and the sifting machine, and they can be the basic ones. You don't need the advanced, but I've already moved up to the advanced level equipment, and I even have some high voltage stuff down here in the back. But then what you'll want to do is you'll wash first you'll crush your ore in something like the universal macerator if you can get it by then. If you can't, just go ahead and use the advanced macerator. But then you're going to want to wash your ore. That might get you a little bit of extra chrome dust. I don't remember if, let's see, ruby ore. So you're going to put the ruby ore. You can cook this straight into straight up rubies, or you can gamble on getting more rubies. And generally, it seems to pay off in this game to gamble a little bit. So when you get this stuff here, well, you can get garnet dust out of the thermal centrifuge, which probably isn't worth it. But it does have a little bit of manganese, you'll notice. But you have to get an awful lot of garnet dust to make that worth it, and it's not really a good path to manganese. We'll get back to manganese in a moment. You definitely want to wash it because, well, you have to. The sifter requires purified ore. You can't thermally centrifuge it or anything like that. I don't think you can thermally centrifuge it, but you definitely want to get the chrome dust out. So that'll get you some extra chrome. Then you're going to put this guy in here, and this guy will sift. And it should give you a wide variety of stuff here. But generally, the return from this is much greater than just simply cooking those into straight-up rubies. Sometimes you'll get smalls. You'll get these smaller, not as good rubies. But sometimes you'll get dust, which is great because it's equivalent to one of these. But when you're really lucky, you'll get either a flawless or an exquisite. And I actually used to have a lot more flawless, but I actually crushed a bunch of them up to make other things. This here can be eventually smashed down into 4 full rubies. This thing here can be smashed down into 2. So this gets smashed into this, which gets smashed into this. So that means you get 4 out of this. You get 2 of these out of this one, and you get 2 of these out of this. So it's definitely worth the trouble. So use the sifter. It actually does give you a greater return than if you simply... I've played around with it enough to know that, if I just burn them versus sifting them, you definitely come out a winner with the sifting. So, you can go ahead and roll the slots on this one. So that's pretty much how you're going to get your chrome, and it's a pain, but you're just going to have to, hold on to your ore until you get the proper equipment for it. Now, manganese there is another conundrum here. Now, there is another source of both chrome and manganese, and that would be simple exploring. Run around on the surface, look for those chests that are in those little evil-looking areas, and also underground. If you traveling underground, if you find a mine shaft, explore it as much as you can. Find all the chests. You're probably going to find chrome and manganese in these, and it's definitely worth doing. You'll also find a lot of other weird random crap, but you'll find good stuff in there. But it's not going to serve you maybe long term. It's going to help maybe get you started with stainless steel. But eventually you're going to run out even what you found exploring, unless you're a really, really avid explorer. And you're gonna run into problems with having manganese. So there's two sources, two major sources. One is going to be finding a manganese ore vein, which is pyrolusite and spessartine. So spessartine and pyrolusite, which also has tantalite. And those guys, you can use this thing here to get your extra bit of manganese, although you're better off washing them first. Then you can, now for the ore washing plant, you can wash this to get extra manganese. You can wash your, oops, let me back up here, your tantalite. But if you can't find, if you just simply cannot find the manganese mine, ore, bearing ores, and I'm having a heck of a time right now. I've been searching. I've been using my seismic device to look for them, and I've been doing a lot of exploring underground. I've gone through thousands of torches looking for this stuff. I did find one in my last game, so I know they exist, but it's definitely kind of hard to find. So if you're like me and you're just having bad luck finding a manganese-bearing ore vein, there is a alternative, and that would be tungsten. If you find a tungsten-bearing ore vein, now those tend to be kind of rare as well. I don't know if they're as rare as the manganese-bearing ones though, because I tend to see a few more of the tungsten ones than I do of the manganese ore veins. But when you do find this, you can use your ore washing plant to get this stuff, and with the scheelite. If you get the universal macerator, and I do suggest that you go for that guy. In fact, I would go for that guy before, using what manganese you have before going, any further. One of the side products of that is, lo and behold, an entire pile of manganese dust. So this is an alternative to getting it. I'm going to end up putting these through the ore washers as well, and so that I can, maximize my yields here. And that is how that is going to be my source of manganese. So, like I said, the ore washer, definitely use it. The tungsten ore, you'll be able, you're going to need a level 3 tool. Like I said, use the cobalt when you make your power tools, and then you'll be able to knock level 3 stuff down with no trouble. It does eat up the durability a little bit faster, but these things are pretty durable anyway, and you just assemble them, you can possibly get the thing back. I do have another video I need to upload on hand tools. I made it a while back. I uploaded it, but my PC crashed. I meant to look to see if it had posted and forgot, so I do need to go, and apparently it didn't, so I need to go back and re-upload that to YouTube. So anyway, that's those guys here. High voltage world, you're going to get into another interesting thing. You're going to get into two types of batteries. You can use the giant batteries that take lithium, and if you find tungsten, you're going to find lithium ore. Chances are you've probably used a lot of that already on your other smaller batteries, and you're going to be hard up for lithium. But if you do happen to find a lot, definitely make use of your ore washing plant and your thermal centrifuge in order to maximize your yields. Not too much on how to use these things. I mean, you put the ore in, and you can get extra stuff out. Usually it's better to wash it, and then you bring it over here, and then you, like crushed spodumene, you're better off to do, you're better off to put that through the washer, get that little bit of aluminum out, and then put the wash ore through here. But if you want to skip the aluminum, you can just throw the ore straight in. So you kind of have a bit of a choice here. This one, I think you can do it in any order you like, actually, but I may be wrong. But I think you have to, if you want to use the ore washer, you have to use that first, then the thermal centrifuge. But again, I could be wrong here. But like I said, play with them, figuring them out. That's part of the fun of the game. I don't want to explain absolutely everything, but I did want to give a few tips because I know some people are going to be pulling their hair out over that element MN because it is very rare. But you can see I'm getting a little bit here, but I'm going to have to basically wash tons and tons and tons and tons of ore. But I can wash all these types of ore here, and I'll be able to get more manganese out of it, and that'll let me make my stainless steel. Cooking it, definitely go with your blast furnace, or your basic blast furnace will cook it. Once you get the upgraded coils, it'll cook a little bit faster. So that'll be good. And use nitro diesel as your fuel. You will never go wrong using nitro diesel. Find a heavy oil or a heavy oil vein and build a machine like I have in my nitro diesel video, and you will have no problem cooking this stuff up. I threw 64 in there, and I threw 64 in there with this guy started, and I think I burnt a little tiny bit of aluminium on the side. It's just crunching away through this stuff. It does take time, but fuel won't be a problem. When you first build this thing, it's such a pain to keep it fueled. The biogas, for example, and I have a video on how to make this biogas generator as well, it just isn't enough to keep this thirsty guy hungry, or this thirsty guy hydrated. So you're going to have to use something better, like nitro diesel. And then, the nitro diesel's like the energy drink. He'll sip on that, and it'll keep him going all day long, or actually quite a few days. So anyway, that's pretty much high voltage and stainless steel. High voltage does come up with some new stuff, like the universal macerator, which will grant you extra materials. Here's some more manganese. So definitely save your scheelite and your tungstate until you get this guy, because you definitely want that extra dust. You can't go wrong with that stuff. The ilmenite as well, you'll definitely want to save it, because I think you'll get extra rutile from that, and that'll give you extra titanium. So, put your equipment to good use, and it'll take good care of you. So that's all I've really got for this video. Like I said, there's a lot of neat stuff you can make with stainless steel, the high voltage machines. Some of the larger machines, like the oil cracking unit, requires an awful lot of stainless steel. So hopefully this will help for those of you who are having trouble finding both chrome and manganese. Again, keep searching for that manganese thing. Eventually, when you get into stuff that needs tantalum, you're going to have that. But for now, you can get by using, if you can find tungsten, you can use that to kind of, scrape a little bit of manganese out of that, and you'll probably get by with that. For the redstone, you'll definitely need to find redstone. They're not too rare, and they have rubies in them. Just use your tools effectively for your rubies, and you shouldn't have too much trouble getting chrome. Chrome does get used in an awful lot. In fact, a lot more than the manganese does. So chrome is really, really, really hard to get a hold of. But like I said, just keep searching, and you'll eventually find it. That's all I've got. So thank you for watching.